That's right, I'm upside down. And the reason I'm upside down is because I've decided every time I watch Raw, WWE doesn't seem to care about continuity, so why should I on my show where I go through Raw and talk about it? It's called parity, it's called balance, and I think that's the right thing to do. So yeah, I'm upside down. However, now I'm the right way back round because at least I had the decency to explain why I was doing what I did. And I don't like starting these things off negative. As you know, I am a positive Pete, but sometimes you have to look at things as clear as day. So let's get into it. My name is Simon, this is WhatCulture Wrestling. And yeah, Raw happened, so let's up those downs. Subscribe. Raw started with Seth Rollins coming out and he was still holding the chair, or at least this was the insinuation, that he had used at Super Showdown to beat Brock Lesnar. Seth, that ain't cool, man. That's really weird. What did you do? You went to the airport with a chair, you went home with a chair, saw your mates like, hey, want to have a coffee? Want to do some CrossFit? And they were like, Seth, bro, why you got a chair? He's like, let me tell you a little story about Brock Lesnar. They wouldn't give a damn. Anyway, he said what he did to Lesnar was like anybody else in the history of WWE. And then out came Baron Corbin. I do want to just say this, I want to throw it out there. Even though there's other pictures on social media saying nobody turned up to Raw and it was dead, I thought the crowd here was absolutely awesome. They cheered Seth Rollins like a hero and they booed Baron Corbin like he was the biggest asshole on the planet. And I tell you, it just makes things so much more enjoyable when you've got an atmosphere and we're playing along with the story. Talking of the story, I don't even know why Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins are fighting, but I do know because of the audience, this was far more entertaining than it would have been otherwise. Because of all the nonsense that happened last week, Corbin revealed that at their next match, which is happening at Stomping Grounds pay-per-view in a couple of weeks, he gets to choose the special guest referee, and Seth's response to that was to say, well, Baron, nobody likes you. Ooh, cutting. Turns out he does have at least one friend because Sami Zayn came out to defend him. He told Seth it would be best for everybody if he loses the Universal Championship because he's getting obsessed with Brock Lesnar. As it did turn out, Zayn just wanted that to happen because he believed he could curry favor with Baron Corbin and probably get a title shot. Sami, I tell you right now, even if you do, WWE ain't ever gonna let you win the championship. Don't get me wrong. I would like you to do that, but just look at everything you've done over the last few weeks. You got thrown in the bin. This then all turned into some weird chain because, like I say, at first, Seth Rollins wanted to see who was going to back up Baron Corbin, and out came Sami Zayn, and then he wanted to know who would back up Sami Zayn, and out came Kevin Owens. And I love Kevin Owens because he said, hey, I'm the wild card, ... whatever that means. Boy, howdy, Kevin Owens. Is that the truest thing anybody has ever said in the history of the world? This was all a bit messy, but eventually we found out this was going to set up KO versus Seth Rollins for our main event on Raw. And yeah, it did go a very long time. But look, again, because I was so happy with how the fans and the crowd reacted, and I'm hoping if I start getting behind them and geeing them up, everybody will do this week in, week out. It's my new, what do they call it? It's my new thing. I can't think of the word. My new protest, my new mission. Get fans invested on Raw TV shows. And just to point out that you don't have to do that. WWE should just make you do that. Should make direct. Anyway, I'm rambling. It can have enough. Lars Sullivan then destroyed the Lucha House Party, which is exactly what should have happened at Super Showdown, which begs the question, why the hell didn't it happen there? Down. The flying headbutt is back, and I don't know how I feel about that because we've all seen the dangers that come with it, but yeah, it was an elimination thing, so he beat all three back to back. It only lasted about 2 minutes, and the problem is the damage has already been done because don't forget, at Super Showdown, he did win, but he won via DQ. Hopefully WWE keeps doing this so Lars can actually feel like a threat again. And also, Sullivan, on that note, I see what you're doing before your matches. You were in the gorilla position and you were slapping your head. You want to steal my gimmick? That's cool, man. I'll come and whip your ass. And the reason I say that is because WWE has treated you so badly, I ain't intimidated by you at all. Stop it. It was the 24/7 title stuff, and this week what happened is a bunch of dudes got stuck in the elevator as they were chasing after R-Truth. Of course, you had R-Truth, you had Carmella, EC3 was in there, Drake Maverick, Cedric Alexander. For some reason, EC3 always has this red cup now. I don't know what that's meant to tie into, but I guess it means something. And yeah, the lift broke, and this was the start of this week's segment. Also, just to underline how much sometimes WWE doesn't care, We then cut to one of those backstage shots which just sets up angles for the rest of the night. But here we had Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch having a conversation. And Michael Cole just nonchalantly went, oh look, it's Becky and Seth, the boyfriend and girlfriend. WWE, I understand I'm being a geek right now, wrestling nerd, whatever, but you do understand that some fans have no idea they're dating. Not everybody goes out there and reads wrestling news sites. So if you are going to incorporate this into your television program, why don't you turn it into a cool story? I know as an old school wrestling fan, I'd be really happy if you did a modern day version of the Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. So why don't you do that? Why do you just say these things? If I'm, I don't know, Gene. Hi, I'm Gene. I'm a casual wrestling fan. I turn on Raw once every few weeks. Even if I watch it once every week, what are they meant to take away from that? Don't just throw things at the screen that could actually be used to tell long-term stories. Like when you just cut Baron Corbin's hair. The hair versus hair match has been going on for literally decades, and you just had Baron Corbin go, hey man, I had a haircut. Down. Then we got one of those dual interviews between Becky and Lacey Evans. You know what I'm talking about. They draw a line down the screen and you have one person here and you have one person there. And I'm sure these could actually be decent, but for some reason, every time we do them, nobody is allowed to sound like a human being and therefore instead sounds like this. Becky, I'm gonna beat you at the pay-per-view because you're not a woman. And I am a woman, and I'm a really classy woman. And as a classy woman, I'm gonna beat you because you're not a woman. I'll whip your ass, Lacey Evans. The real problem with this is that I can't do an Irish accent, and now I just sound really weird. But at Stomping Grounds, Lacey Evans, you're going to lose. That was terrible, but my point being, everybody just talks in sound bites as opposed to be allowing to have like a back and forth conversation. You know when The Rock and Steve Austin did this? They didn't have a line down them. I think I said this before. But they were in the same room with Jim Ross, and you believed every damn word they said because they were allowed to sound like themselves. Down. Also, why are these two even having a match to begin with? The last time I saw them wrestle, Becky Lynch beat Lacey Evans clean. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were then backstage having a chat, because please just forget everything that we did last week. Also, Alexa Bliss told Nikki Cross that she makes her feel so comfortable that she feels like herself. She feels like Lexi. If you don't know, Lexi is her real name. So stop being a massive wrestling geek and remember it's all just characters. These aren't real people. What are you doing, you stupid moron? This is Lexi, whatever her name is, Lexi Kaufman. Not Alexa Bliss. Why did you even think otherwise? Anyway, she is just manipulating Cross to get closer to the SmackDown Women's title, even though 7 days ago it appeared they were going to be some kind of a team. But boy, howdy, don't worry. We will get there. Raw is more difficult to figure out these days than doing an equation. And then after a video packaging highlighting Super Showdown, Michael Cole actually uttered the words, WWE is the only form of sports entertainment which is cross-cultural. Now, if we accept that nobody else in the world is calling themselves sports entertainment, and therefore sports entertainment refers to the WWE, this was a man saying WWE is the only WWE that is cross-cultural. Please, please, please stop writing this stuff down. Thankfully, Miz TV was actually a lot better than I was expecting. I assumed it was going to be a lazy way to begin a feud between The Miz and Samoa Joe for the United States title. There's actually more to this. It can have an up. As we know, Joe is just the best, and he pushed the idea here that nobody should be calling him the new champ because he just got his hands back on what was rightfully his because Rey Mysterio had screwed him over at Money in the Bank. Miz disagreed and said that he went too far by talking about Dominic, which is Mysterio's family, and Samoa Joe, the hero, the king, the absolute best that he is, responded to Miz by saying, well, I don't agree with that. I don't think I've crossed the line. I don't even know what the line is. Maybe I'll start talking about your family. Imagine he did too, and he just started running off facts, and it was like, you got a wife called Maurice, you got a child, and you got another child on the way, plus you have a TV show about your family. That would have made me laugh. As they stood up to each other, Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, and Cesaro all entered the fray, and it was all based on the beef they've had with each other over the last few weeks. So Braun Strowman just felt like he deserved a US title shot against Samoa Joe, and then Bobby Lashley was there like, oh Braun, don't you forget about me, because I'm not done with you. And Ricochet then popped up like, hey, don't forget, I beat Cesaro twice over the last few weeks, therefore maybe I deserve a championship match. And then Cesaro was there, and he just hates Ricochet, and that was doubly funny, because he pretended he was going to talk, he took the microphone, and just bombed Ricochet on the head. Somewhere as well, Teddy Long must have made a call, because all of a sudden we were having a tag team match player. And you know what? This was really fun as well. I mean, WWE does have to start booking matches that actually make some sense. In terms of me just having fun for a few minutes, Just tick my boxes. Give it an up. Lashley and Strowman did all their agility stuff like they had done on Friday at the pay-per-view. Cesaro and Ricochet just have great chemistry. And at one point, Samoa Joe just left with his championship because he realised he doesn't need this crap. The finish saw Rick get another pinfall over the Swiss Superman, and that doubly sucked for Cesaro because he'd also been rocked by the skull-crushing finale. However, getting away from all that, it was the 630 that smashed into Cesaro's leg, and I don't know, man, the way Cesaro sold that, I think he actually may be hurt. I hope I'm wrong, I hope I'm just being worked. If not though, all the best out to him. We were then backstage, and right now, WWE, please, for the love of everything, just use this. Just give me something to enjoy for a couple of weeks. As Baron Corbin was talking to Charlie Caruso, and he said over the next fortnight, he's going to take it under advisement who he should pick as his special guest referee for his Universal Championship match at Stomping Grounds. So let's just eke it out, WWE. Let me have some fun with it. Let me invest and then come up with a name that will make me go, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. And it's going to make this bout even better still. You only have to do 2 weeks. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to overproduce it. You got the time. I am begging you. And sure, at the end of this, he was talking to Sami Zayn. They were having a little whispering fest, but that's all right. You tease away. Just make me give a crap. Please make me give a crap. Lacey Evans and Alexa Bliss then beat Becky Lynch and Bayley when our SmackDown Women's Champion got pinned by Lacey Evans. So why do we even give titles around anyway? How are we meant to build these belts back up if when we're in tag team matches, they get beaten as if they're nothing but, I don't know, some meringue? Anyone could beat a meringue. A meringue's not real. A meringue is an inanimate object that gets eaten all the time, and it made Bayley look ridiculously. Double so because she was in her hometown. It even ruined my grammar and punctuation now. I just missed out letters like some crazy person. Don't get me wrong, the match was fine, but sometimes the ending, sometimes it is about the destination. This destination blowed down. Shane McMahon was then backstage, and he is going to make Sami Zayn the outside guest enforcer for Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens later. Okay, don't care. Paul Heyman was out next, cutting one of those promos saying to us that no longer will he and Lesnar be telling us, or at least hinting, when they may cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, which you could probably translate as Brock Lesnar ain't going to be on TV week in, week out anymore. Now, this is one of those that I hope I'm wrong on, but it just screamed of the same situation when Lesnar left television and took the Universal title with him, although this time he's taken the Money in the Bank briefcase with him, and that is rubbish because I actually enjoyed Brock over the last 3 episodes of Raw when he is on TV as a recurring character. I still think he's really fun. Don't forget he gave us the Brock boombox. The promo was very good though, and I do like the idea that at any given moment, the Beast could cash in. However, I've got to know that he's in the building. If I don't know he's in the building, I am just going to assume that he hasn't come to the building to begin with, because that's what he did for around about 2 years. However, benefit of the doubt, Paul Heyman is great. He can get an up. Very tentative and worried up. It was back to the 24/7 title elevator skit, as it was confirmed. They are stuck in this thing. EC3 pulled a fork out of his pants just in case they had to eat each other, because I guess he assumed they were going to be in there for around about 3 weeks. And Carmella came up with a game where you can only speak if you hold or wear her hat, because everybody was just shouting at each other. Yep. The highlight was R-Truth mistaking Drake Maverick for Hornswoggle, and look, this was really dumb. It was really stupid, but the glue that holds it all together is R-Truth. He's just a delight to watch. I think I love him a little bit. If anybody else was doing this, it would be really bad, but they're not. It's like when those people play Batman games and go, well, it wouldn't be very good if Batman wasn't in it. He's in it, and R-Truth is in these, and therefore, he can get an up. At least it gives me a few minutes of just niceness. The IKonics then beat some jobbers in a random match, and this isn't their fault, but it's getting a brown down. A brown down. Why? Because 1 week ago, I was shown Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross coming together to beat up Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, and essentially be told, oh, here is our new tag team program. And a week over, there's nothing. There's nothing. They don't hate each other. They're not talking about it. So even if you enjoyed that storyline just a little tiny winny bit, it was a waste of time. I would have been better off ripping out my tongue on that episode of Ups and Downs, because at least then again, you would have had some continuity when you tuned into this week's episode. You would have gone, okay, I understand. What? Because he ripped his tongue out. It's flubbing ridiculous, really. It is flubbing ridiculous. How can anybody in charge of a massive company that makes millions and billions and trillions of dollars not go, well, we better do something with the IKonics and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, because they literally had a fight. Also, where was my coffee, WWE? I told you last week I was going to support the coffee, and this week you didn't even have any coffee despite releasing merchandise for Alexa Bliss the featured coffee. It was then another celebration for Shane McMahon. Didn't we just have Shane McMahon Appreciation Night like 2 weeks ago? Why are we doing it again? Why are we doing it again? Down. His big point was that we should all be celebrating Shane McMahon because he beat Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is a very special cat. He then ran down a list of the big dog's accolades and said Roman Reigns has won the Royal Rumble twice. No, he hasn't, Shane McMahon. He's only won it once. McMahon praised Drew McIntyre, who was standing by his side, and for some reason this week he had a bunch of bagpipe players when he came out for his entrance, which was never mentioned by the commentary, by the way. That's like if I do this and you're just like, well, what is that? And I just don't mention it. It's just there. You just have to deal with it. Also, Drew McIntyre is now wearing a leather jacket like Shane McMahon. So these are the little things that WWE worries about. Well, they're gonna look like each other, pal. Somebody get Drew McIntyre a leather jacket. And there he is, looking like a big version of him. Drew is also going to beat Roman Reigns so bad at Stomping Grounds that he will be physically unrecognizable. So I can only guess we're going to go with a whole face-off vibe there. You know, like Nicolas Cage, Drew will rip off Roman's face. Hey, maybe they'll just change faces. At least that'll be a story. At least I can buy into that. And Drew also called himself the most dangerous man in the world. So I presume his next feud is going to be with Ken Shamrock. They all then drank some champagne out of the Best in the World trophy, and I just don't care about any of this. I try, but this is what happens when I try. My eyes close, because at least I think if my eyes are closed, I can just exist in my brain world. And right now, look, it's wonderful. I'm on a roller coaster, I'm eating popcorn. The Revival also came out to party, but Shane said you can't do that just yet because your tag team title match is next. Good thing he did tell them that too, because after this, Dash and Dawson did go on to beat Hawkins and Ryder and the Usos, and they are your new Raw Tag Team Champions. But give it up. Now, there is a lot wrong with this because Ryder and Hawkins haven't been on TV in weeks. They just vanished. Also, when they were there, they were feuding with the Viking Warriors, Raiders, whatever the hell they're called, and they have ceased to exist as well. Also, the last time I saw the Revival, they were losing to the Usos at Super Showdown, so why on earth they deserve a tag team title match, I don't know. And the commentators tried to justify this by going, oh, they're buddies with Shane McMahon. And as we've said before, that is such a lazy way to try and fill in plot holes. We can just say Shane did it. And now that I've said all those things out loud, unfortunately, we do have to give that a down. But the match was really good, especially the finish, because Jay had hit a splash on Zack Ryder. He was going to get the pin, but Dash snuck in. He stole it as Dawson ensured the Usos couldn't break it up. So yeah, that's that. It justifies a rematch now. If I do see the Usos versus the Revival again, even though I've seen it 72,876 times, at least this makes sense. And poor Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I don't know what we do with them now. I wanted them to do something with you, guys, but they didn't. What can I do? Rollins then cut a promo backstage, and finally the 24/7 guys got out the elevator. There was a ref there, so that turned into a match, and then Carmella pulled R-Truth back into the elevator, and it's just safer in there. The Firefly Funhouse, though, remains a damn treat. Give it up. Let's just run it down, because Ramblin' Rabbit had said to Bray that Mercy the Buzzard had tried to eat him again. And as Wyatt was trying to sort it out, he got his heel hurt gloves, whatever they're called, and he put them to his ears and decided to give Ramblin' Rabbit the floor. So we then focused in on Ramblin' Rabbit, and he was about to reveal some secrets. Bray Wyatt didn't like that. So he took a mallet, he squished and killed Ramblin' Rabbit, and then ate his guts. He then did an advert for Ramblin' Rabbit breakfast spread, dressed as like some semi-clown, and this really is the best stuff on Raw by a country mile. Seth Rollins versus KO was our main event, and it gets an up, mostly because of Sami Zayn as the overzealous referee. Before they even started, and Sami Zayn was like checking everyone to make sure they had weapons, he kept going. You got a knife, Seth? You got a knife? The man is brilliant. Sami Zayn, of course, kept getting involved, including pulling the referee out of the ring after Kevin Owens had been stomped into the floor by Seth Rollins. That pissed Seth Rollins off. He grabbed Sami Zayn by the lapel, and that meant Sami Zayn caused for the DQ. And I understand that was always going to happen. I mean, it was so obvious, but that's the problem. It was obvious, it was boring, and it felt like a waste of a main event. And because of that, my eyes started to shut. I start to lose the power at my knees. I start to fall over, but it is going to get a down. At least Seth did get to look like a badass though. Usually when these type of things happen, a bunch of heels run in and they beat up the babyface, but we're not doing that with Rollins at the moment. And can you believe it? It worked, because he beat up Sami, then Baron Corbin was out there, he beat him up too. He went absolutely nuts on everybody he could with the chair. And when Raw went off air, guess who looked like the best person on the damn roster? That's right, the person that is holding the most important title on that roster. It's almost like it made sense. Look, I got my sense hands on. I believe Seth can and will kick your ass, and that makes me like him more, and that's why it can get it up. And that was it. That was the end of Raw. As you can see, we're in a bit of a difficult situation because it has 9 ups and it has 9 downs, as long as I've done my maths right. Sometimes I get it wrong. But as I said before, that doesn't equate to a good or bad show when you're going through it segment by segment. And it's not even a challenge today. I hate doing this. I try my best, but it's got to get it down. We just got a bunch of rematches on Stomping Grounds I don't think many people cared about anyway, and none of it makes any sense. There's no continuity. You don't have to watch the show week by week anymore because everything exists within its own bubble. And that needs to stop. I need stories, man. I need narratives. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. Like, share, and subscribe. Head to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles on WhatCulture, Twitter, WhatCulture, WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon Miller. Sorry I wasn't as positive as always today, but I'm being honest. I'm still positive. Some people think that I was really, really mad at Raw. No, I didn't. Still enjoyed it. Doesn't mean, you know, when I come to look at it critically, I don't give the overall show a down, which we did do. I'm still happy. I'm still chappy. I'm still lappy. And I'm still... Nope, got nothing. Bye.